Hey friends, welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host Mark Guido, and it's here. Once again, it's time for our annual Best Of. When we look back at our favorite RV camping that we've enjoyed over the past year, and we're bringing you along. Stay tuned. This episode of Grand Adventure is sponsored by etrailer.com, where you'll find thousands of products for RVing, towing, camping, outdoor recreation, vehicles, boating, and more. Click the link in the video description or scan the code on your screen to shop etrailer.com with Grand Adventure. Welcome to our annual Best Of episode, where we'll look back on our favorite RV travel and camping throughout our entire 2025 season. This year, we've decided to focus on our 10 favorite destinations of 2025. Note, that's not necessarily our 10 favorite campsites of 2025. Instead, we took a look at the area's natural beauty, the selection of things to see and do, the friendliness of the locals, in general, the area's vibe. Of course, every place does have its downsides, so we'll look at both the pros and the cons of each destination. Links to each individual episode will be provided if you'd like to learn more, both in the video description down below and right here on the screen with a QR code for those of you watching on your television. So without further ado, let's get started with our number 10, Prince Rupert, British Columbia. Prince Rupert surprised us, and we almost didn't even make it there. This small city was built on Cayenne Island, near where the Skeena River discharges into the Pacific, just south of Ketchikan, Alaska, and about 480 miles northwest of Vancouver. It is the land, air, and water transportation hub of British Columbia's north coast, and has a current population of 12,300, about half of whom are descended from the indigenous people who have inhabited the area for roughly 5,000 years. There's only one way into and out of Prince Rupert via land, and that's driving the Yellowhead Highway following the Skeena River. This is an utterly spectacular road, with tall cascades plunging down steep mountainsides into the river below. U.S. troops finally completed this 100-mile route between Prince Rupert and Terrace during World War II to help move thousands of Allied troops to the Aleutian Islands and the Pacific. Even today, there's absolutely nothing along this entire stretch of roadway until you reach the outskirts of Prince Rupert. The undeniable highlight of any visit to Prince Rupert is the North Pacific Cannery, now a National Historic Site of Canada and comparable to few, if any, other salmon canneries on the west coast of North America. It performed continuous salmon production and fish processing for nearly 90 years, until the late 1970s, a remarkable feat for the fish canning industry. A total of 25 buildings on the site can be toured, with many frozen in the state of animation they were left in when the company closed its doors in 1981. Summer temperatures stay cool here, with highs in the 50s and 60s during our mid-July visit. In fact, summer temps have never exceeded 90 degrees. On the downside, Prince Rupert is Canada's wettest city, receiving measurable precipitation an average of 240 days each year, and only seeing the sun on average 100 days per year. The other big negative is the RV camping. The only RV campground in Prince Rupert, and one of only 4 this side of Terrace 100 miles away, is tight. Pull-throughs are shared between 2 RVs. They couldn't squeeze another rig into Prince Rupert RV Park if they tried. If you'd like to see much more from Prince Rupert, our Grand Adventure episode 423 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. We spent the 2025 season on both sides of the US-Canadian border. And checking in at number 9 is one of the friendliest tiny towns we've ever encountered, with an exceptional RV campground, Lincoln, Montana. With a population numbering only 1,000, the logging, mining, and recreation town of Lincoln is surrounded by a whole lot of Montana. Roughly equidistant between Missoula and Great Falls, Lincoln sits in the picturesque mountain valley of the Blackfoot River, right at the southern end of the uninterrupted Crown of the Continent wildlife corridor, and through which Meriwether Lewis passed on his return to St. Louis in 1806. From what is essentially a single main street less than a mile long, wildlands stretch in every direction, making Lincoln a haven for outdoor enthusiasts. It's a long way from anywhere. It's so remote, in fact, that 5 miles south of town is where the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski hermitized in his cabin. Smack dab in the middle of all of this sits one of the most generously spaced privately owned RV parks that we've ever encountered. Owned by a charming local couple who are RVers themselves, Lost Moose Meadows has 40 beautifully spaced sites 3 miles west of town, with full hookups and both 30 amp and 50 amp electrical service for $45 per night. And we got in with an early season buy 5 get 2 free special. Every campground should be laid out this way, with nearly 100 feet between adjacent sites. Pull-through sites are up to 90 feet long, and back-in sites are up to 75 feet long. We, however, had a miserable sense of timing, for a closed low stalled over western Montana during our week in Lincoln, going nowhere and spinning up waves of rain showers, thunderstorms, and even hail, in between disappointingly brief breaks in the clouds. So we found ourselves making ample use of the bars and restaurants in town for our social gatherings with our friends, and making new friends along the way. Ed's Scapegoat Burger at the Wilderness Bar had nearly a full pound of meat. And check out the size of their hand-breaded pork loin sandwich. The only downside to Lincoln that we found is that supplies available in town are somewhat limited, and it's a long drive to either Missoula or Great Falls if you need something that can't be found in Lincoln. so stock up before you arrive. If you'd like to see much more from Lincoln, our Grand Adventure episode 413 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. While Lincoln may be unknown to many, we can't say the same for our number 8 RV travel destination of 2025, Yosemite National Park. Yosemite is one of America's most popular national parks, covering nearly 1,200 square miles, about the size of Rhode Island. Roughly 95% of the park is designated wilderness, and despite its size, most of Yosemite's 4 million annual visitors spend the majority of their time in Yosemite Valley's 7 square miles. So it can get uncomfortably busy at times, even though it wasn't so during our October visit that happened to coincide with the federal government shutdown of 2025. Yosemite's calling card is its stunning natural beauty that's unlike any other. About 10 million years ago, the Sierra Nevada was uplifted and tilted to form its unique slopes, which increased the steepness of stream and riverbeds, forming deep, narrow canyons. About 1 million years ago, glaciers formed at higher elevations. They moved down slope, cutting and sculpting the U-shaped Yosemite Valley. The catch to Yosemite is the limited nature of its RV camping. We had scored a hard-to-get reservation to camp for the week in Yosemite's Upper Pines Campground, the park's only RV campground that remains open past early October. Although the sites accommodate RVs up to 35 feet, I only later noticed that trailers have a smaller restriction of 24 feet, and options outside of the park are located some distance away, like our site at Bagby Recreation Area, which is a 90-minute drive to enter Yosemite. Despite the drive, Bagby nevertheless made an exceptional base camp for exploring Yosemite, with the added benefit of its proximity to the nearby former mining towns of Mariposa and Coulterville. If you'd like to see much more from Yosemite, our Grand Adventure episode 440 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. We'll be right back with our 7 favorite RV travel and camping destinations of 2025, right after a quick message from our valued video sponsor, eTrailer. Whether you need products for your RV, boat, trailer, vehicle, hunting and fishing, off-roading, and more, our video sponsor, eTrailer, has you covered. Best of all, you'll find over 100 US-based enthusiast customer service reps ready to help via phone, chat, or email, both before and after the sale. These folks have used themselves the products that you're shopping for, and you won't find a more knowledgeable team anywhere to help you with your outdoor project. Click the link in the video description or scan the code on your screen to shop etrailer.com with Grand Adventure. Now, let's get back to our countdown. Our 7th favorite destination of 2025 is actually in Canada, but lies just across the international border from Montana. And that's the charming recreation town of Fernie, British Columbia. This beautiful town sits just 35 miles north of the border in BC's East Kootenay region, in close proximity to Kalispell, Montana, and Montana's Glacier National Park. Fernie's stately brick historic downtown, surrounded by the Rocky Mountains, is a treasured and distinctive feature of the community. Fernie's population swells during the winter months thanks to the famed slopes of Fernie Alpine Resort, one of Canada's largest ski areas on the southern edge of town. Until recently, however, it wasn't what's on the surrounding mountains that captured Fernie residents' attention. It was what's in them. The vast Crow's Nest coal field lies just to the east of the city, and Fernie owes its origins to 19th century prospector William Fernie, who established the coal industry that continues to exist to this day, alongside ample outdoor recreation. There are few good opportunities for RV boondocking surrounding Fernie, and the campgrounds of Mount Fernie Provincial Park were still closed for the season during our visit in early June. However, you'll find 172 full hookup campsites and 5 heated yurts available year-round at Fernie RV Resort, with both 50 amp and 30 amp electrical service, all in a convenient location along the banks of the Elk River right on the edge of town. Campground facilities include modern and clean bathrooms and showers, a bike wash station, and more. We paid $52 Canadian per night, or only $37.59 US with the exchange rate. If you'd like to see much more from Fernie, our Grand Adventure episode 415 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. Also near the border, but on the American side, Washington State's beautiful Methow Valley also made our list, coming in at number 6. Washington's pastoral Methow Valley has long been on our list of destinations to visit, but due to various circumstances, it's never happened until this season. Situated in the eastern foothills of the northern Cascade Mountains, the adjacent towns of Winthrop, Mazama, and Twisp form the eastern gateway to North Cascades National Park, yet constitute a legitimate RV travel destination in their own right. Taking a cue from the Bavarian-themed town of Leavenworth, Washington, which in turn got the idea from the Dutch-themed Solvang, California, Winthrop adapted an Old West theme for its downtown architecture in 1971 to prepare for the opening of the North Cascades Highway across the mountains from the Washington coast. A 2-block section of downtown was rebuilt to use 1890s Old West architecture, including false fronts and a wooden boardwalk. And as a result, today the town prospers as a regional tourist attraction and base for outdoor recreation. The Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest, which surrounds the valley, has designated areas for hiking, camping, hunting, and fishing. Within walking distance of downtown Winthrop, Pioneer RV Park made for a nearly perfect base camp. The facilities were as charming as the staff. Right adjacent to our campsite on lush, soft grass, sat the most impressive community camp kitchen that we've ever encountered. Right across the street from the campground, Winthrop's Schaefer Historical Museum houses innumerable original historic buildings and artifacts of the Methow Valley's farming, ranching, logging, and mining history. And when you're ready to explore a bit further afield, North Cascades National Park is only about an hour's drive up the North Cascades Scenic Highway. If you'd like to see much more from the Methow Valley, our Grand Adventure episode 434 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. In our mind, there's nothing quite like beach boondocking. And for our number 5 from 2025, we're going to shift our focus from the mountains to the ocean. Guadalupe-Nipomo Dunes is the largest remaining coastal sand dune system south of San Francisco, and the second largest in the state of California, encompassing an 18-mile stretch of California's central coast. 5.5 of those miles have been reserved for sand recreation as the Oceano Dunes State Vehicular Recreation Area. This is the only state park in California where visitors are allowed to drive vehicles on the beach, including both OHVs and campers. Permits for dispersed camping cost $10 per night, and there are no facilities provided, save for a dumpster. Although this area gets frightfully busy in season, attracting some 2 million visitors annually, we started out the week with only 5 other campers on the beach during our early November visit. It gets noticeably busier on the weekend, although still not uncomfortably so in early November. So it's beautiful, unique, and cheap. What's the downside? Well, getting to our spot 2.5 miles down the beach with an RV can be somewhat intimidating. While the sand below the high tide line is somewhat firm, the same can't be said for the deep, soft sand near the dune fence line, where it's actually safe to camp away from the waves and incoming tides. Four-wheel drive is absolutely essential, as is airing down your tires on both your tow vehicle and your trailer to better float atop the sand rather than dig into it. Still, getting stuck remains a distinct possibility, as happened to us once during our week on the beach. If that's too much for you to handle, there are numerous RV parks and campgrounds just off the beach, including the 2 campgrounds at Pismo State Beach that offer sites ranging from dry camping to partial hookups. If you'd like to see much more from Oceano Dunes and Pismo Beach, our Grand Adventure episode 442 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. We're now down to our top 4, which we'll bring to you immediately following a quick ad break, so stay tuned. Following our number 5, Oceano Dunes, let's stay in California and stick with the coastal theme for our 4th favorite RV destination of 2025, the south coast of Big Sur. Here, the majestic waves of the broad Pacific Ocean crash ashore all along many unspoiled miles of the Central California coastline that's teeming with wildlife. Much of that wildlife takes the form of creatures that you'd likely expect, while some of it doesn't. Those zebras are the feral descendants of ancestors that once belonged to William Randolph Hearst. The publishing magnate used to camp on a hilltop on his family's property here, just outside the hamlet of San Simeon, until in 1919, he decided to build what he called something a little more comfortable. That little something is the 68,500 square foot Hearst Castle. Surrounded by an additional 3 massive guest houses, Hearst Castle is now open for public tours and comprises Hearst San Simeon State Historical Monument. beauty of this coastline practically defies description. Among the few towns along this stretch of Pacific coastline, visitors are drawn to Cambria for the area's tourism and natural beauty. We spent our week along the big Sur South Coast, right between Cambria and Hearst Castle, at the Washburn Campground of Hearst San Simeon State Park. This is dry camping for $20 per night, a relative bargain by California standards. If you're looking for full hookups, though, you'll be looking further afield, down towards Morro Bay. If you'd like to see much more from the big Sur South Coast, our Grand Adventure episode 441 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. We're now down to the top 3. Alberta, Canada's national parks are world famous for their stunning natural beauty, but we felt a little bit let down by the most famous of them, especially as we had just come from our favorite of them all, Waterton Lakes. Waterton Lakes National Park of Canada shares the Montana border with Glacier National Park on the American side, and thus also shares similar topography. Covering 195 square miles of rugged Rocky Mountain wilderness, where it borders the Great Plains, Waterton Lakes became Canada's 4th national park in 1895. We visited Waterton Lakes in June, before the throngs of tourists arrived for July and August. This was the perfect time of year to explore many of the park's gorgeous hikes. The only downside we can muster is that most of Waterton Lakes National Park has been scorched by recent wildfires. Wildfires also occurred in 1998 and 2018. The biggest wildfire in Waterton Lakes was 2017's Kenau Fire, which started from a lightning strike. The Waterton Lakes town site seems unique to those of us used to U.S. national parks and their permitted park concessionaires. This is literally a town entirely within the national park, filled with independent hotels, restaurants, shops, cafes, retail stores, and even a movie theater. It also includes the townsite campground, where we spent our week. Open from early April until mid-October, reservations are available from mid-May to mid-September, and sites are first come, first served outside of those dates. While there are a total of 246 sites among 7 campground loops, Loops A and B offer full hookups, and those loops fill up almost instantly when reservations open for the season. Our full hookup site in A Loop costs just over $44 Canadian per night, or just over $32 US dollars per night with the exchange rate. This is a first-rate national park campground with ample spacing, mixed tree cover, and concrete patios and picnic tables at each site. Wood fires are not permitted. If you'd like to see much more from Waterton Lakes, our Grand Adventure episode 416 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. Coming in at number 2 was the most family-friendly campground that we've encountered in a long, long time. And that's Camp Valhalla, deep in the scenic Valhalla range of the Kootenays of British Columbia on the shores of Summit Lake, where the spirited vibe was overwhelmingly positive. Families get out and enjoy the campground's 2 sandy beaches, one for humans and one for off-leash dogs to play and swim. Guests have free use of their campground's varied watercraft from what they've coined the Summit Lake Yacht Club. At the campground office, they'll hand scoop any size ice cream cone you'd like for $3.60 US. The Summit Lake Rail Trail passes right behind the campground, providing the perfect scenic reason to break out the bike. The campground lies just a few miles south of scenic Nakusp, on the shoreline of Upper Arrow Lake. Just north of Nakusp, take in the splendor of Ione Falls, or hike down to Halfway Hot Springs. Head in the other direction, and you can visit things ranging from a World War II Japanese internment camp to an historic ghost town dating to the days of the silvery Slocan mining rush. If you'd like to see much more from Camp Valhalla in the entire Nakusp area, our Grand Adventure episode 431 is linked both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. Are you ready for our number one? We're going to bring you to our absolute favorite RV travel destination of 2025, right after we take one more quick ad break to pay the bills. So stay tuned. As full-time RV travelers, we often get asked about what our favorite destinations are. And that's seldom an easy task because mountains are different from beaches, are different from deserts, or different from forests. Even the Great Plains have their own special charm. This year, however, it was surprisingly easy to pick our favorite. But to get there, you have to travel to our 49th state. With an official population of only 48, the town of Hyder in Alaska's southeastern panhandle sits on the international border with British Columbia, Canada. The only way into Hyder is from British Columbia, and the only place you can go when you leave Hyder is British Columbia. Visiting Hyder and interacting with its hardy residents is like living inside an episode of TV's Northern Exposure. The town has a fiercely libertarian attitude. There is no local law enforcement presence. Because there's nowhere else in the U.S. you can go, there's no U.S. Customs presence at the border here, making this perhaps the only place you can enter the United States without identification. In the 1970s, miners who crossed the border daily blew up the Canadian border barrier after tiring of the delays it caused. In 2015, when Ottawa decided to save money by closing all overnight border traffic between Hyder and Stewart, trapped Hyder residents nearly rebelled, prompting a diplomatic row that was finally resolved by the installation of a night phone to connect with a remote border agent. The Alaska Marine Highway ferry that once connected Hyder to Ketchikan stopped running in the 1990s. Mail arrives here twice a week via a de Havilland Beaver seaplane. Hyder is in something of an administrative no man's land, far removed from anything else that's officially American. Visiting Hyder is somewhat cheating. It's the southernmost Alaska village reachable by a road, by a long shot. RV campers get to legitimately check the box to say that they've camped in Alaska without driving another 700 miles to reach the next land port of entry at Skagway, via the Alaska Highway. But despite Hyder's tiny size, there's a huge taste of Alaska to be found here, including sprawling glaciers, hundreds of eagles, rivers and streams teeming with salmon, and countless hungry bears that feed on them. There's only one place to park your RV in Hyder, and that's Eagle Shadow Campground. Sites at Eagle Shadow are tight and range from full hookup 30 amp sites like ours for $49.50 per night to dry camping, water and electric, or water only sites. Rates decrease with each additional night reserved. Unlike in Hyder, businesses in adjoining Stewart, British Columbia, just 2 miles down the road, are actually open. Stewart is a working town of around 500 to 600 people, with many employed in mining that's starting to tap into tourism too by capitalizing on the area's ample, unspoiled natural beauty. There are several restaurants, hotels, gift shops, gas stations, and grocery stores. Tours are available to see the area's glaciers, both by motor vehicle and by helicopters flying from Stewart Airport. if you're ready to see much more of Hyder and Stuart in Grand Adventure episode 424. By now, you know the drill. There's a link both right here on the screen and down below in the video description. Now that our 2025 travel season is over, we're largely going to be stationary for a few months. Tomorrow, we're going to head down to Quartzsite, Arizona for the Q26 RV Rally, and we'll be bringing you along with an episode in a few weeks. Otherwise, we'll be here in Utah enjoying the ski season. As in previous years, we'll bring you product reviews, how-tos, and other non-travel oriented episodes while we're spending our few months in Utah before we hit the road again in April for parts unknown. We hope that you've enjoyed our annual Best Of episode of Grand Adventure. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give us a huge thumbs up down below. And while you're down below, that's where you'll find the comment section, where we love to hear from you each and every week, because we premiere new RV adventure travel videos each and every Wednesday. So if you're not yet a Grand Adventurer, there is no better time than right now for you to go smash that little subscribe button located right down there and ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a Grand Adventure. We'd be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. So until next Wednesday, please remember life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.